The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Forum, assemble! You're watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and geek culture. We are the Fantastic Forum, coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case may be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, just stick with us. Let's take it up a notch. You have half of the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our riddle inside of an enigma trapped in Chinese finger cuffs. You don't know him. You love him anyway. He's our silent assassin, Jay.
Hey, what's up?
And as for myself, my name's Lawrence Young. They call me Mary Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. The rest of the forum, Oz will be here soon. We believe, we hope, we pray. And unfortunately, the man, the myth, the legend, the backbone, Moses, won't be with us this week. So we'll have to get with him next week to get his opinions on the amazing, amazing, amazing show that we have in line for you today. Because, we're going to be talking to you all about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the latest installment from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we are going to be talking to you all about the Image comic Monarch. So we got all of that, plus more. But before we do all of that, before we do any of it, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, because without him, this show would not exist. So thank you very much, Scott Rubin. Appreciate you, good sir. And with that said, I guess I didn't tell people that they could get down with Fantastic Forum, did I?
Did you?
I'm definitely talking to you, Jay. No. No, look, I didn't mention it, but I could have. Oh, wait, ladies and gentlemen. With his hand in the cookie jar. Sorry, Oz. Ladies and gentlemen, our intrepid senior reporter, next in line for the cowl, our resident Dark Knight detective, Oz. Look, if that's not how Oz should introduce himself, I don't know what is. Just the sound of a beer can cracking open. How are you, Oz?
Yeah. What are you talking
about? Right now, we're technically still in the intro. So I was just about to let the good people know that the intern was going to tell them how it is they can get down with Fantastic Forum if they want to join us.
Want to get in on the action? Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
fantasticforum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
Thank you, intern. We appreciate you. So, yeah. Do what the intern said. Jump on fantasticforum.live if you want to be have the coveted role of being the fourth member of Fantastic Forum tonight. Or if you want to jump into chat, you can go and jump into chat either on YouTube or on Twitch, and we will take your comments directly out of chat and bring them into the show. So whichever you prefer, we are here for you. We're here for you. Do we have a witty chat comment that we can put into the show, Jay?
Taken Tugboat says, how's it going, FF? Did you hear Carl Urban is going to be Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat 2 movie?
You know what? Shout out to Taken Tugboat. Yes, I did hear about that too.
Though, or was that a rumor?
I think it is confirmed.
Like how Mila Kunis was supposed to be the Thing in Fantastic Four?
Wait, what?
Oh, you didn't hear that story?
No,
it's moved on to for a while. Mila Kunis, like, supposedly she was gonna play the Thing in Fantastic Four.
Like Miss Thing?
I don't know. That's your thing. Ain't my thing.
Do what you wanna do.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably a joke gone wrong.
Oh,
that people took serious because that's what people do these days. And the latest
Right.
rumor is Margot Robbie is set to be the Invisible Woman. But
Damn.
I don't know if any of that's confirmed. Just like the Carl Urban thing, like I've heard his name thrown around. Would he make a good Johnny Cage?
He doesn't look
Listen.
like Johnny Cage.
Like
Listen.
I would want, like, he looks better with the beard. So, but I would want him to shave for that character. But if he shaves, he doesn't look like Johnny Cage. And frankly, he's kind of getting up there in age for that kind of role.
What? Carl, how old is Carl Urban? Carl
Like
Urban's not even that
60
old, right?
something.
No. What?
Yeah.
Is Carl? No. Dude. First of all, Carl Urban is a chameleon. Okay.
50.
Whatever. He's 50.
He's 50.
Wow.
That's
I'm
right.
shocked by
He's
that.
50, and he's gonna be kicking. And I forget the rest of this sketch.
But I don't know, man. He's a chameleon, dude. Like, I kind of feel like if he wants to be Johnny Cage, if he wants to transform, he can. And no, you don't think so? Like, I mean, like, we know what Carl Urban looks like without his beard. It's like,
Do we
you know,
know
I
what
don't
he looks
know.
like without his shirt?
Nah, but he'll train.
There's only so
He's
much you
Carl
can do
Urban.
at 50.
What? Okay,
I mean, legally,
I
if he starts taking the juice and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, I could probably see it. But even then, like, you got to kill him off because he's not going to make Mortal Kombat 3.
Why is he not good? Listen,
Because he's just going to get older and older.
Listen, man. Like, okay, I'm just saying, the Rock is 50.
Yeah, but The Rock's been working out 8 hours a day since he was like 10.
Okay, and that could be true.
On top of that, look at his dad. Look at that family line. Like, he comes from, like, he's got. People say he's on shit. I think his body just produces that stuff naturally. Like, he's not injecting anything. That's just he's got that extra gland, like, overproducing whatever initials used for steroids these days.
All I hear is you saying Carl Urban has a weak genetic line. That's all I hear.
I haven't seen what his parents look like. I've seen what he looks like. I've seen what he looks like without a shirt, and if he's gonna be a superhero, he should just be Judge Dredd and wear that big jacket.
Dude,
at all times.
Good as Judge.
And we're getting to the point that he needs to wear the helmet at all times too, which he did. I give him credit for. Like, his chin is ageless. If he's wearing like some helmet and like thick glasses, if he plays Johnny Cage coming off the set of their version of Top Gun with the helmet and the glasses, I'm all in. You just put his head on the stunt guy's body. We can do that now, right? We can like reverse Steve Rogers him, right?
What is Taking Tugboat saying, Jay?
He says the casting does look confirmed. After Billy the Butcher, he should have been Kano. And when I read the story, that's exactly what I thought. Like, he looks like Kano. He doesn't look like Johnny Cage.
Yeah, and he gets to wear a shirt.
Well, there it is. Wow.
Kano doesn't wear a shirt.
Doesn't he wear like some sort of like thing, like something like sleeveless? I know that, but he's got something, right? I mean, he's covering up all this, like, all the problem areas are covered. Is my point. Like, his arms are sticking out, and you can do this and make your guns look bigger.
Like, yeah, he wears like an open gi, so right, Kano.
Yeah. So the chest lanes are from fire.
Johnny Cage is just wearing like little biker shorts.
Yeah. Look, I hope that Margot Robbie rumor is true, because Margot Robbie would make an amazing, fantastic. I mean, Invisible Woman.
I don't know, man.
Like,
ever since she started playing Harley, every other movie I see her in, I just hear Harley talking. Even movies that she did before, like I think she was in that fake ass Tarzan movie.
You
And
sound
she
like
was
Harley
like,
Quinn to
and she
you
was
in that.
talking. I was like, man, that's Harley Quinn, but not crazy.
That's funny. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I'm not by no means am I saying she'd be the perfect Invisible Woman, but I like the idea. Like, I mean, like I'm just happy, I guess, that she's like white and blonde.
Oh, I see. It's the skin color that you care about. I get you.
No, not just the skin color,
Look,
like the hair color
the
too.
only skin color that should matter is translucent.
No, see, right there it is.
I hate Jessica.
So,
That fake ass blonde hair.
yeah, it's
Bad.
it's no good. It's no good. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, like I said, get with Fantastic Forum if you want to talk to us about the things we're talking about right now. But without further ado, let's get to this week's first topic. Let's talk about Monarch.
Oh, Monarch. Oops.
Uh-oh. What did you read?
I read a book called Marathon. Look, normally we get our image, and I use that to see what cover to look for. I'm sitting there like, it starts with an M, and it's
You know how many comic books start with an M? But I hear you.
yeah, but
You're
it's a
like
book no one's heard
one
about.
word. Marathon. Oh, there we go.
She's ready to move.
Review. Like review. Well, not like that, but like.
There it is. Thank you for that. All right. So, look, we might be doing a dual review of Monarch and Marathon.
No,
What?
no, it's
not. What's taking Tugboat saying?
Classic FF reading something else that wasn't on the list.
Hey, that's true. That is classic FF. Every one of us has done that at one point or another since we've been doing this show. We were like, wait, just read what? Now, don't get me wrong. It's usually like a mistake that's a little bit closer where you're like, oh, we get it. You know what I'm saying? We said no. We didn't say Into the Spider-Verse 1. We said Edge of Spider-Verse 1.
Or we said DC Ruby, not Justice League Ruby.
Right. But but anyway, ironically enough, Oz, was the book that you read any good?
no.
Okay.
I mean, like you might like it because it had something to do with the Olympics in the 1920s, and it made it seem like at some point something interesting, like one of those worlds diverge storylines things was going to happen. I didn't get that far because it's a lot of text boxes trying to set the scene, even though you got like pages and art to show you the scene. They gotta describe. But actually, what I did read, I think Lawrence, you might enjoy it. It's a long book too. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I brought up Monarch on my screen, and page 1 already looks more interesting than what I thought of that book.
Yeah, man, it'd have been awesome if you had read it. Like you can read it right now while we talk, and then by the time
I can look at the pictures. I'm not going to read.
So, Jay, why don't you tell the people what Monarch is?
So, Monarch is a story about a kid just trying to get through school, hang out with the chick he likes, and an alien invasion happens. A lot of the adults are killed. Everyone's trying to take refuge. And suddenly the kid is taken back home as he is one of them. who's been basically spying on Earth since the time he's been on Earth. He's been a spy for these aliens. And it basically goes back and forth between his life on Earth and what's happening now, the current invasion. And it's a lot of his thought process on what's happening. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, shoot. That's no joke. Look, I didn't get far enough to read all that. There's only 4 issues out, right?
I'm not sure. I only have 3. If 4 came out, it came out behind my back.
Dang. Messed around and they snuck an issue in on you. But yeah, I'm assuming because I only got the chance to read the first issue, and I do know that I saw that they took him, but I didn't know. I was like, oh, did they tell you that in issue 2?
Yeah.
Ah, man.
Damn. Issue 4 came out today, so that's why I didn't know about it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's interesting because the beginning of this book really hit home in a lot of ways. It's just because it's set in LA or the LA area, it's about basically a little nerdy black kid that gets picked on, and I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm like, I can relate. I'm watching this fool run from bullies, and I'm just like, dang, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't something I had to do often, but because I got picked on, but I wasn't picked on man, this guy came this kid's getting basically chased down every day, by this one dude, and I didn't have a bully like that where some people have their childhood bully that messes with them every single day. And it's no, I was fortunate enough, I didn't have that experience, but at the same time, every now and then, you look like a target, and people target you, So I was like, man, and especially the only difference is, of course, this looks like it takes place in a more modern era, when we were kids. Obviously, that was a whole different thing. But at the same time, it's he's literally has to run from these guys before they beat him up. And there's even a point where a gun does get pulled, And so it's I definitely was wow, I get it. And that's a wild thing to be able to say in the midst of a story that is about an alien invasion. Where I'm like, oh man, this alien invasion story reminds me of my childhood.
It's interesting that, at our age, we know a lot of people that can say, yo, yeah, that page, we've been there. And
right.
And you try to explain that to someone today, and it still happens occasionally, but you're gonna find a lot less people that are gonna understand what the hell you're saying.
Yeah.
Somebody said something mean about you on the internet. I was running from bullets, so
yeah, and but here's the thing, it's crazy because I'm not here to have the trauma Olympics because the fact of the matter is, it's especially all of us here growing up in LA, we gang violence was a very real thing, and we knew that you could potentially get gotten out in the street.
it's not about it kind of sounds like it, but it's not really about look, the shit I dealt with is a lot worse than what you dealt with. So much as I like to tell, especially younger kids, dude, what you're dealing with could be a lot worse. You know, you can push through this. If people push through that, you can push through this.
Yeah. At the same time, I'm just like the things that's going on with like school shootings and things like that in this day and age. Like that's a whole different thing too, where it's like the school was usually the safe zone, like in which actually kind of happens in this book too, where the kid has to run to get to school, and he knows if he can get to school, those guys aren't going to come on the school grounds to get him because they're not supposed to be there because they've already been expelled or whatever. And it was to a degree kind of like that, where it's like, yeah, you could get shot. Like back in the day, you could get shot just about anywhere. But school was usually a place where people aren't going to come in and shoot you. They're going to wait for you after school. You know what I'm saying? Like, or wait for you to leave campus. Huh?
They'll shoot you outside the school.
Right. And that's true. Like, that could happen. Like, you could get shot just outside the school. But if you were in school, you're good. But you can't say that today. Like today,
I miss those energy shields they used to put up on the fence. Somehow prevented that from like
penetrating. Yeah, I mean, it was just boundaries, which is crazy to think, because it's like cats are out here in the neighborhoods of LA treating them like war zones, just gunning people down for wearing the wrong colors. But everybody was like, man, you can't just shoot up the school. That's crazy.
It was so unheard of. When I was in high school, my first year, I was walking around campus with a 22 rifle.
Yeah.
We actually had a shooting team at my high school. And so I was allowed to have one.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. Cats, like, I'm not trying to sit here and tell anybody, like, pretend that there weren't guns in schools when we were kids, because there were.
Yeah, like, and you knew who was carrying.
Right. People had guns in school. They just didn't use them in school. And that's all there was to it. Like, so, but yeah. But anyway. So
isn't that Monarch, weird though? Like, I've seen people get in a fight with the guy we know has a gun, and never once did that come out.
Yeah.
In the school.
It's not weird.
Now, that guy was later arrested years later for shooting somebody outside the school.
Right.
Getting in a heat, like an actual fist fight with the guy that has a gun, and it doesn't happen, like, was amazing. Right. Now, like, back then, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're living in a day and age where you don't need to get any kind of altercation with anybody to just get shot. Right? That's the whole thing, right? It's like, we went from, okay, you could have a fist fight with somebody that has a gun, and if you're in the right place, they're not going to pull it, to you could be anywhere and somebody just decides, I'm going to mow down a set of people, and that's just what happens. I'm just like, it's crazy, because I can't think of a single place in this day and age that you're like, well, you're not going to get shot here, because you can get shot anywhere. You can get shot at the mall, at church, in the movie theater, at school, at work. Like, there's no, like, I'm waiting for somebody to try to shoot the shooting range. That's probably the only place that you could probably be where somebody's not going to walk in with a gun and try to kill everybody because they're like, well, everybody has a gun, right? But
some people are dumb though.
Didn't that guy that famous sniper, didn't he get killed like in a shooting range or something?
Hey, it would not surprise me if it has happened. I just don't remember.
Or was it just the guy that he knew from the shooting range that got him?
I think I know who you're talking about.
They made a movie about him.
Yeah, he knew him at the shooting range. He was shot at his home.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, man, it's wild. But anyway, like I said, going back to Monarch here, it's like the characters. For me, I was like, man, this is super relatable. And it's like even after the alien invasion happens, it's like you still kind of have like, this kid is like a down on his luck kind of kid that kind of found a moment where things are going good for him. And then the alien invasion happens and things are, like bad again. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah. And so
Jay, you read all four books?
I read 3 of them.
In those 3 books, do they ever? Why is it called Monarch?
That they don't say.
Okay. Do they go over why? Let's see. I'm gonna try to avoid a spoiler. Why that person is chosen?
Yeah. They don't go like specifically, but they do just say he was a spy. For them.
Okay, so they knew him beforehand. Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too deep in it. I don't want to spoil too much of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, it's right in front of me. I could just read it, but
and I will say too, it was a quick read, but in a really good way, like in a comprehensive kind of way. Like the pacing is pretty on point, and the characterization, like, and I like not just for the main character, but for everybody. And that was kind of interesting because sometimes I read comics and like I understand, or at least I believe I understand the idea that sometimes if you're writing a comic, you don't want to like put all the work on the artist, right? Like you want to friggin' make your like earn your pay too with as a writer. So I'm sure sometimes I know for a fact there's some writers that have like written additional dialogue and sometimes it just feels like additional dialogue where it's like, why are they even saying this? Like nobody, like, why is this person still talking? And not because like if it's a wordy person, it's a wordy person, but everybody isn't that, right? And some people speak differently, and so it's like I've definitely read comics where I'm like, okay, and it's not like I like words, so I'm not. It doesn't usually bother me. It's not something that I take like I'll knock a point off a comic book review or anything like that for 9 times out of 10. But it is one of those things where I can see it, and this feels like the amount of words that they use for each character is 100% based on who the character is and what it is that they should and what they need to be saying and what they should be saying and how they want to say it. And so like that was something I actually really appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think
jump
of?
In
go ahead, Jay.
Characterization. Also, yeah, just wanted to. It's really good. I love all these people. It's weird. I was thinking like we read Isom a little while ago, and a lot of the characters just feel like super generic. Or to me, they did. But this one, everyone feels like they have like a flavor to them. Even like the ones you don't really see that much. Like there's a one little girl, Trayvon's goddaughter, can't think of her name right now. And like she's just written really well. Like she doesn't really do anything, but you still get a real good sense of who she is.
Yeah. As a little kid. Which is something that, I mean, I guess is another thing reading comics. Like people don't always write small kids well,
right.
and I'm not saying that it's an easy thing to do because I don't think it is. But especially considering that, it's like sometimes people write small kids like adults with just less of a vocabulary, and it's just like, why would that kid even say that? It's like why? Like you use smaller words, but you gave them like adult cognition. You know what I mean? Where it's like these fools are thinking about the world, and it's like, most little kids aren't out here thinking about the world. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like they barely like half of them when something's not in front of them, they're just like, well, that just doesn't exist, right? Like it doesn't even exist. They barely have object permanence, let alone out here thinking about like abstract stuff happening out in the world. Like okay, man. So, but no, like the characterization was really good. And again, like I only read the one issue, but the kid is a foster kid, so he's like in a foster home, and his foster parent, which I can't remember her name, Miss something he called her, like they made me care about her, and I'm like, she's only in like 3 or 4 panels, but I was like, oh man, like I was like really concerned about her well-being, and I'm like, man, like somebody's doing their job right.
And she just gets better and better the more the story goes on. Like the more you look into the past and a couple for she gets some really good scenes and they build on her character a lot.
Oh, nice. This is something that Oz, you can give us your opinion about as well. What do you think about the art from what you see?
I've seen a lot worse.
That's fair.
I've seen a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad, and more importantly, it's consistent.
I would agree.
I've just kind of scrolled through 2 books, and it's consistent. It's not like I get to one panel, it's like, oh, what the hell happened there?
Right.
It's fine. It's they it got a lot of time and attention, and consistency is the key. It's not it's not something I would put up on my wall, but it's not offensive either. I like it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, I should mention as well that the book is written by Rodney Barnes and the art is by Alex Lins. So just so you all can know who's doing what. How about you, Jay? How do you feel about it?
I'm not a fan of the art. There were just some panels where I'm not sure what angle people are at. And yeah, it's like I've seen worse. I've definitely seen worse, but I'm not a huge fan of this art. It's not so bad that it's like taking me out of the story, though.
Right.
Yeah, it's just personally, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can still look at it, read it, and just every once in a while, the angles seem a little bit off.
Okay, no, I hear that. I can agree that it's not the best comic book art, but I think that the important thing for me was the consistency. I felt like not only does the comic look uniform throughout, but also too I felt like it did a good job of in regards to like its storytelling. I thought was great, and that kind of goes back again to the pacing, where I felt like from panel to panel it was such a smooth read, and it's like it told like each panel led into the next in like a way where it was like super appropriate and just like okay, like I'm seeing what one action goes to the next action, all that kind of stuff. But then also too, I just felt like it did a great job in regards to characterizations, because that's like a big part of this book is like you getting a feel for these people, and I felt like it did a good job of you kind of like even without the like word bubbles, you're kind of like you get a feel for what the personality for each person is and how it is that they're what they like the intention behind what they're saying. And so Yeah, it was like I really did like the art. The only thing I could say about it from a to kind of detract is just that it does feel uh like let me put it like this: if I asked uh for a commission from this artist, I feel like the level of work I would get from them would be of a higher caliber than I would get in this book. And I think that that's primarily due to time. Like I think that there you can see maybe the idea that this is a artist that's working to meet a schedule, and so it's not bad work by any means. And the testament is that it is consistent, because I feel like I rather have a book that has like a consistency throughout it of a certain quality than having like some pages be spectacular and then other pages look all funky. You know what I mean? And so, but I feel like this artist can like do like better work, but maybe it might just be like the time constraint that's just like, okay, like this is what I know when I'm making sure my 20 pages or my 22 pages comes in. This is what I know I can do for that. So, yeah. But okay, so with that said, does anybody have anything else they want to say about Monarch before we do a rating? Okay,
I
well,
think I've
let's do it.
said most of
go
the
ahead, Jay.
stuff I want to say.
Okay, cool. Look, Oz, I know you didn't get to actually read Monarch, but based on what you've seen and what you heard, what would you think, man? What would you rate Monarch?
I'd probably give it a 4. Seems like it's worth reading. You guys made it seem like the story is interesting, and like Jay said, the characters feel real, and the art, it's not bad and it's consistent. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I think it's worth reading.
Mm-hmm. Jay, how about you, Monarch?
I would also give it a 4. I'm just really enjoying the story, this setting. Like, I don't know. I probably don't read enough indie books, but this setting seems unique to like the stories I normally read.
Yeah,
And yeah,
true.
I'm enjoying what's going on.
You don't get a lot of alien invasions in Compton. This is true.
Well, you don't get a lot of stories taking place in Compton.
True. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I would give it a 4 as well. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it sounds like it only gets better based on what Jay's saying. So I'm like, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to read the next 3 right now. So yeah, definitely gonna give Monarch a 4, and looking forward to see how that whole story and world develops. All right, y'all ready to jump into some Guardians?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cue the music.
We don't have it yet.
Oh no, we don't. Oh, do we not have it at all, or it's coming? You say you
It's
don't
not
have
on
it yet?
It's not on our music list.
Got it. Oz, we need you to recreate the music, the movie theme, the comic book theater.
It's funny because I actually made that, and I don't have it on
Yeah.
my computer.
Oh, okay. Just
Like,
do
it's
it.
in the drive.
Like, just do it with your mouth, Oz.
Download it.
I drive.
Like if you
Comic book. We should have a like Kurt. Well, not like that, but like.
That's all my movie stuff.
That's perfect. I love it. I love it. Except for the goat. I hate that goat. All right. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, hit theaters last week. It is the final Guardians of the Galaxy movie, at the very least done by James Gunn. And yeah, Oz. Well, let's start with you, buddy. Why don't you tell the people what Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is all about?
It's the third movie in the Guardians of the Galaxy series of movies. Like that's it.
That's it. The end.
I mean, there's not a whole lot to tell about like what this movie is. That's what it is. And like you said, it's the last one. Mm-hmm. So they tease a lot of deaths. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of moments where you're like, oh, so he's gonna die. Nope. Mm-hmm. Oh, so and so is gonna die. Nope. Mm-hmm. Which it starts to get annoying, and it's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah,
and I think it's like 45 minutes too long.
Dude, you think it's 45 minutes too long?
There's a lot of stuff you can cut. Like there's stuff in there like and this was in the trailer when they're in the spacesuits and they go out and they just want to show Mantis like spinning around because they think it's funny. It's not. It's not necessary. I get the joke they're trying to make. It's not funny. It's not funny anymore, and it goes on for way too long. And then like they're in a space station and the guards for some reason are wearing some sort of like fluffy pink armor, I guess. Like it just doesn't look good. Like
I think it's organic armor.
Out of ideas. I know he was out of ideas because the soundtrack isn't as good either.
Wow. Oh, there it is.
Like I was
not holding back.
Of the three movies, this is the worst one in all aspects. It's just it sucks because there's a lot of interesting things happening. Like it's the most downer of the movies. There's a lot of serious themes, especially like Star-Lord is going through some stuff in the movie, and it's just surrounded by so much crap that it gets lost a little bit.
It's interesting because I hear where you're coming from, and I feel like the thing, like he's definitely in a funk, but the things that are happening around him basically kind of bring him out of the funk. But I do understand what you're saying because like it doesn't seem like they don't really deal with they don't directly deal with the whole movie he was having.
The whole movie is him he's still dealing with the loss of Gamora while being face to face with Gamora and having to realize that that's not his Gamora and he can't expect what happened the first time to happen again.
Yeah.
Even though, technically it's the same person, but that lightning doesn't hit twice. And then on top of that, you have the stuff with Rocket. It's a lot being thrown at him, and he's just trying to keep everything together.
Right.
It's an interesting story, and Rocket's story interesting too. It's just there's a lot, like that's why I said there's a lot of interesting things happening that just kind of like get lost in all the goofiness, sort of.
Right.
Like those goofy ass spacesuits and you could have cut a lot of it.
Yeah. Okay. Look, Jay, how are you feeling about it, man? What were your kind of main takeaway for Guardians Volume 3?
Oh, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Adam Warlock's voice surprised me because that ended up being like really good. Like not his face.
But we can
His
agree
voice
that's not really
sounds
Adam Warlock, right?
Well, yeah, not really.
Like they call him Adam Warlock, I get that, but he's not. Like I think they make a point to tell you, well, he wasn't finished yet. he didn't quite come out complete, especially mentally. I think that was James Gunn kind of saying, hey, you know, they wanted him in there, so here you go. That's what you get. You don't need no soul stone. They don't even exist anymore. But we're gonna put that thing on his head anyway, even though there's no stone or gem or whatever you want to call it.
Gem.
And it was the wrong color.
Yeah.
Well, it was just his skin tone, right? It wasn't.
No, the gem
doesn't make any sense. Nobody's saying it's the
be green.
The color of his skin tone.
In the movie, it was just a skin. It was like a pimple that he had.
Yeah.
And it was actually distracting, especially knowing what that's supposed to be.
Like it doesn't like it. It's so crazy because I definitely was like I don't understand why from a design choice did they decide to leave
why
something
is it
there?
Like it's the gold people, I forget what they call it now, are supposed to be this like
the
perfect
sovereign
species, and he's supposed to be like the most perfect of them all, and he's got this giant pimple sticking out for no reason.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Continue, Jay. I'm sorry. I think we cut you off.
Yeah, he triggered me when he said Adam Warlock.
But I enjoyed it. Rocket's story was really good. Yeah, I mean, there weren't too many things. Like, I didn't need what's his name's son. He was kind of lame.
What's his name's son?
The blue guy. I don't remember his name.
Yondu?
Yeah, Yondu's kid. Didn't really need him.
Wait, that's not his kid. That guy's in all the that guy's in all the Guardians movies, you know.
Yeah, he was like his first in command.
Yeah, like he took the fin, which that's a weird thing. Like, which wouldn't happen if that guy's related to James Gunn, right?
Yeah, and he's also the stand-in for Rocket.
What do you mean? He's just like what?
Like whenever they're acting and they need a Rocket, like he's there like hunched over as Rocket.
Oh, okay.
Why not just do a midget?
What?
No, like he's hunched over. He's not. He's tall.
You don't need a little person. You don't need a little person to be a stand-in.
It helps, though.
I mean, if that's the case, you just use the stuffed rocket they got too.
No, but he can't move.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah.
But overall, I did enjoy it. I liked the pacing. There wasn't a whole lot I didn't like. Like, even with that character, his back and forth with Cosmo was pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Dude's been in all three movies, and Jay can't remember his name.
He's not important.
Like, I feel like he's somewhere right now genuinely hurt by that.
In the second movie, he's the one that saves them, right? After everybody mutinies, he's the one that like comes back to Yondu.
I don't remember. I mean, listen, you all know how I feel about Guardians movies, so it should not be surprising that I don't remember.
This is why I believe Mo is in here, because he didn't want to see this movie.
I know he didn't. Yeah.
Like he's my throat. Oh.
I will tell you.
Wait, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Tiger Claw says, "What are your thoughts on Cosmo being female? I know you guys have issues when they gender bend character, but Cosmo is a dog, so it doesn't matter if it was male or female." Not true. Not true. And about as far as the character being female, it's fine because I don't care about Cosmo. But if it was a character I cared about, then they would need to be the right gender.
I mean, I will say that I would have preferred a male Cosmo, but I can take, like there's nothing wrong. Like, yeah, it's not terrible. Like I remember the first time hearing Cosmo's voice, and I was like, oh, like like it definitely I took note of it because I was just like that's yeah.
I honestly wasn't even sure that he was a male.
Oh, no, I was.
I don't think I've seen him in the comics to know that he's a male.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he looks male, but when the girl started talking, I was like, oh, I guess it's a female.
I mean, but a male
That's
and
how
female,
little I know about this character.
Male and female dogs look pretty much the same, right?
Not when they're drawn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But no, Cosmo, I mean, it's wild because Cosmo plays a significant role in the Marvel universe. Like Cosmo was actually in the comics is the head of Nowhere. Like runs that whole joint. And so Nowhere is a different kind of place in the comics than it is in the movies, but it has a similar kind of vibe to it. So imagine, which I guess was Peter technically running Nowhere? Like, I mean, that happens in what, like the Christmas special, right?
The Guardians were running it.
Okay.
By the way, I think the thing with Cosmo, I don't know what Cosmo was in the comics, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But I just verified it too. The first dog in space was female, so that might be what they were going with.
Oh, that's interesting. And so I'm like
the first Russian dog in space.
Yeah, yeah. And so hey, I'm not mad at that. Like if that's the inspiration behind it.
I'm assuming. I mean, we're just guessing at this point, but and I don't know what Cosmo is. I haven't seen Cosmo enough in the comics to know if it's a boy or girl.
And this is the whole thing. Like this is why James Gunn gets to run rampant in the Guardians universe, right? Because they're you all are both comic book fans, definitely hardcore enough, but you don't know anything about most of these characters. And for me, I happen to be one of those guys that's this was one of my little niches that I really enjoyed. And so, yeah, I know Cosmo is a male, also, I've the representation of Cosmo is pretty great. Obviously they did do the gender swap thing, but outside of that, it's the character acts like Cosmo acts for the most part. They kind of insinuate, if I'm remembering correctly, in the last movie, the kind of rivalry between Cosmo and Rocket. And I mean, Cosmo's the backstory is all there. He Cosmo's psychic, psychic / telekinetic.
Yeah, he's telekinetic, and she's telekinetic in this movie, right?
Yeah. The Cosmo, in the comic, I guess that's the only thing, because I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering right, Cosmo is actually psychic, and that's how the primary way he communicates. Yeah. What's Tiger Claw saying?
Did you know that PETA was praising this movie for being the best animal rights movie?
I did not know that.
I don't know if it's being the best animal rights movie, but for pointing out that using animals for experimentation is, not a good thing because of the rocket stuff specifically. But then he has a poignant comment like that, and then his next comment is just sheer gibberish. He's saying Cosmo first appeared in the holiday special. That's not true because he was in the collector's thing.
Right.
Like he's been there from the start. She's been there from the start. Sorry, Cosmo.
Yeah. Yeah. But man, I will tell you, there's some aspects of this movie that I enjoyed, but overall, yeah, this is definitely a miss for me. And I know I'm like I 100% understand I'm in the minority here, because I'm like, if you like the Guardians movies, as far as like a set, like a trilogy of movies go, like I feel like this is pretty consistent, like it's on brand, you know what I mean? Like like I don't feel like it's like any kind of huge departure. I do think, or I will say, I agree with Oz in the sense like it could have been shorter, um and not like, I like long movies, but yeah, like there's definitely fluff, um but I mean, I think that if you're a fan of the Guardians films, from a send-off perspective, this probably like hits all the notes you were hoping to see, and it's probably a fitting tribute to that set of characters. So um I I will say, though, just for me as a comic book fan and a comic book movie fan, and you know like a person that looks forward to most MCU movies, yeah, like it kind of just disappointed me in a lot of different ways.
I didn't really,
I just
because you mentioned you thought this was a good send off for these characters, and I kind of disagree.
Yeah, why so?
Sorry, I was distracted by Tiger Claw's comment.
Oh, what's Tiger Claw say?
I love all the bits from Counter Earth, but was pretty bummed with what happened to it. But it didn't affect the experience.
Counter Earth was like pointless.
No, I can't. I wouldn't say that. I feel like counter.
This is an excuse to use the F word.
I feel like Counter Earth does, or I'll say it like this. Not only does Counter Earth help establish the character of High Evolutionary in the movie, I feel like the Counter Earth aspect, or the Counter Earth, like, I guess that that set of scenes is probably the only part of the movie that is High Evolutionary like.
Okay.
How
about this? I'll give you that. Yeah, you're right. What it does, especially what Star-Lord sees and the discussion he has with High Evolutionary, is impactful to the story. However, he could have shaved a few minutes off of that. Like there's some stuff that wasn't. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Like they have that whole conversation inside the house that literally probably could have been cut in half. And so, but it's James Gunning, right?
Nah, it's James Gunn trying to Tarantino.
Oh, is that what he was trying to do?
I don't know. I'm just like, there's a lot more dialogue in this one than the other ones. But nah, I don't like the send off because James Gunn started this movie knowing for sure who was not going to be back. Like Drax, who's going to be done after this. Gamora, maybe, like that could have been a maybe. I think he could have taken out some people. I think like the what happens with Mantis towards the end feels like it came out of nowhere, But the way she got along with Drax, I think if Drax would have got taken out, it would have made a lot more sense for why she would want to leave the team.
I hear you.
There's all these different things that you could have taken out a couple of different characters, and it would have made sense for why this group would separate. The only one that kind of makes sense, and it's stretching it because it's barely there, is Star-Lord. Because throughout the movie, they keep reinforcing the fact that he's never gone back to Earth.
Right.
But even then, that doesn't it doesn't make sense that he would leave the team, so much as say, all right, look, I'm going to take a month off. I'll be back.
Right. No, I hear that, where it's like, the team can stay intact and you go home.
Yeah. But I mean, something like Drax getting killed, I think would hit Mantis hard enough that she would need some time alone, especially if her brother wasn't going to be there anyway. Little things like that, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember why Rocket left, right?
No.
Oh, he stayed. Him and Groot stayed.
Yeah.
It bugged me that Groot at one point does not just say, "I am Groot."
Look, it's an interesting choice, and
that bugged me. It's like even in the first movie they have that same thing, but he just says we are Groot. It's like it's just enough that like, okay, I get it, it's the moment and all that, but like he's practically giving a dissertation at this point. I would go that far. I just wait for him to say, "We are family."
Family.
He's not even gonna say Groot anymore. He's just gonna say family. I am family.
I am family.
I was talking to someone who tried to excuse it as, or rationalize it as, well, he probably said I am Groot, but that we all understand him now, like how Gamora started to understand him for no reason. And I think wanted to punch him in the face and say, no, you could have just fucking put the words on the bottom.
Hey, and you know what? Like it is interesting that you say that, because the person's explanation is 100% what I believe James Gunn was going for. I like there's no doubt in my mind that that's the intention. Like, over all the time.
If that's the case, then he can never just say I am Groot again, because now we understand him.
No, I get it. And
which, if he doesn't show up in another movie, then I guess technically, yeah, he could get away with that.
And that might be the thought process, right? So, and don't get me wrong, I don't think that that's going to be the case, but I think what we're trying to, like what he's trying to establish is the idea that, we're experiencing similar to Gamora, that, yeah, like we get it now. But I think that if it was me, I definitely would have went with a subtitle. I would have went with a subtitle, and it might for some people that would have been less impactful. But I also feel like there's going to be a whole set of people that don't even realize that was supposed to be Groot talking. like literally, it's going to go over the head of some of the audience, and they're just going to be like, oh. Like they'll have to wait till they watch it a second time. So
freaking Vin Diesel, man, he's making another Riddick movie too, and I swear if that one's about family, I'm gonna be angry. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm gonna be angry.
I love Riddick. I really do.
I do too, but now if he's on a spaceship talking about family,
I mean, but
it's called degree. It's called Furia, right? So he's gonna go back to his planet, and it's like, oh, you guys are my family. Furians, we're family.
I don't even know if I'll be mad at that. It's like he made it thematic.
You're so gonna watch Fast 10.
Oh no.
It's how
Listen,
Aquaman
first of
gets his
all,
powers. I've seen the trailer where he's like underwater.
first of
That's how
all,
that happens.
I haven't seen any of the Fast and the Furious past 2, so I think I got to catch up on the rest of those
2 is
before.
was 2 Tokyo Drift? No, 2 was 3.
No, Tokyo Drift was 3. 2 was I don't remember Faster and
Too Fast,
Furious.
Too Fast, Too
Fast, Too
Furious.
Furious.
Yeah,
And Tokyo
Yeah.
Drift.
that was
Do
the
yourself
worst one.
Do yourself a favor, tangentially, at least watch Hobbs and Shaw.
I mean, eventually I'll watch all of them.
I doubt it.
I'll just go in order.
Those cars don't transform. Although I guess at this point they might as well. Like they took one to space, I think.
When I saw Guardians, they drove it down a dam. I was like, damn. I was like, okay, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw. Look, even Tire Claw likes it, which means it's great. Hobbs and Shaw is a Fast and Furious movie that doesn't have cars. I guess
they got like Jeeps. Tanks.
Well, no, The Rock is furious, and what's his face that plays?
Jason Statham is fast.
Yeah, Yeah, he is fast. Yeah.
Well, there it is. So, but yeah, man. I what I will say is, like, I honestly really enjoyed the Rocket stuff. Like, I thought that was actually a compelling kind of storyline. And if you'd asked me before going in, if I thought like we needed like a Rocket Raccoon kind of origin thing going on, I would have said, probably not. Like, but seeing the execution, I'm like, it's actually really good, and I'm glad that I got to experience that. But outside of that, I'm just like, there wasn't a lot for me personally. Like I like, I'm a huge fan of Adam Warlock as a character, and I would love to see a live action representation of Adam Warlock. And I was hoping that this was going to be something that, despite, it when it's happening in the MCU kind of universe, that it could be something that I could like look at and enjoy. And yeah, I just couldn't, man. I was like, there was nothing really about it that I really was like, this is good. Or this feels like, huh?
We haven't mentioned or said enough about I can't pronounce his name. The guy that plays the High Evolutionary, the villain.
Yeah.
Dude put some work in there. Like it just felt kind of refreshing to just have a mad scientist villain that doesn't try to make us sympathize with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, he has his motivations that kind of like, it's what, if you think about it a certain way, kind of like makes sense. But really, dude's just nuts. Like, he's just insane. And
yeah,
and at the point that this story takes place, he is just driven even more insane by his obsession with Rocket.
Yeah.
Which just it's I like it.
See, but that's the big problem for me with this characterization of the High Evolutionary. I have no problem with the Rocket connection, and I don't have any, like, I felt like the motivations were right, but the characterization is completely
no,
off.
it's like the problem with Adam Warlock. Like it's a character that they just threw a name on there that people would recognize. But that's the whole thing. I just like the character as a villain. Like, forget what his name is, just as a general villain, the way he's portrayed, as opposed to what we've kind of seen in other Marvel movies. This felt a little different. Like,
I can feel
crazy
that.
and insane, and there's no point that I feel like he might be right.
Yeah, I hear that, and that is different. You're right. Like, But I guess that's the whole thing where I felt like it would have been even better if it was like the actor is phenomenal. Like I'm not taking anything away from him because I feel like he did the job he was asked to do. Like he's not the guy that's supposed to know what high evolutionary actually acts like. you know. Um, However, I'm just like, dude, like the high evolutionary, like all those same characterization. I'm not care. All those same like motivations could have worked and the only thing is like the high evolutionary is definitely like he's Dr. Moreau, but just like times 100, right? He's Dr. Moreau, but the high evolutionary is like 100% like collected almost all the time, like damn near devoid of emotion. Even though he does like it's to a degree an act, and so like honestly, if he acted like that, which I know that dude could pull off, and then he does get manic towards the end because he's being pushed, that would have been more impactful, I think. But I guess maybe it might have seemed less dynamic. I don't know. Like maybe I don't like it was a strange thing. Like this guy was like so like unhinged throughout the movie, and it's like by the time you get to the end, all you're doing is like increasing the intensity of unhingedness. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like watching somebody go crazy in real time.
Right. Well,
And it's just like
it's a guy who, you know, people around him are failing him. They can't get him the one experiment he wants to retrieve. They can't get it. They can't get. On top of that, like stuff's just getting wrecked around him.
yeah.
It's just and it's all like his people around. Like he's got all this power, and like people have like he's to the point that he sees himself practically as God. I think he says that like, look, there's no God, so I stepped in.
Right.
And there's people that have the audacity to tell him no.
Right.
It's I see that craziness. Now,
yeah.
I do kind of agree. I think if he was a lot more collected, and then you get to that point like just before that reveal, I probably would have been more impactful. But I didn't have a problem with this villain.
Yeah. No, and as from a villain perspective, I could see that, especially if you're like, hey, I don't know what high evolutionary is like. And again, this is the whole thing with James Gunn and the Guardians franchise for me, where it's like, dude, like this character is really cool the way he was, and I don't mind people changing characters if they bring something new and interesting to the table. But that's the thing is like, I don't see how this is an improvement. Like, there's nothing extra interesting about this guy yelling at everybody. Like it's just an abusive, like a toxic work environment. That's all. Like, why? How does he keep all these people? I don't know, but maybe he manufactured them that way. I don't know. Yeah. Why don't you all talk about the action in this movie and what do you feel about it in comparison to some of the previous films and then the MCU in general?
I like the action. The only thing for me, and I know there's a difference between like, when you're going up against innocent people and people that are doing bad, but it's still a little jarring going from, no, Gamora, don't hurt anybody, to Groot, kill them all. Like, just a little bit jarring for me. Even though I get it, still a little bit. But other than that, I did like the action sequences. I thought they were good. And I think there was one I really liked. I don't remember which one it was or what was happening, but I remember thinking it reminded me of the opening scene from Volume 2, like the way it was shot and everything was moving, but they had the decency to do it in the middle of the movie instead of at the beginning again.
Well, you didn't even get to see the action in that movie. You always see the little group dancing.
Right.
I like the action scenes. They're entertaining. They look good. Like, I don't like the whole space station crap, but when the action happens there, that's good. It's interesting and it's fun to watch. But they do a thing that like tends to bug me because it happens so often. It bugs me every time. It's when you have regular ass characters like Star-Lord, who's just a human, like getting thrown through something, and you're like, okay, he should have at least like cracked a rib, right? That like dude should be in pain. He just gets up and keeps fighting, you know. I get it when Drax can do it because he's supposed to be a little bit more durable and invulnerable, and you know, Nebula putting herself back together. That all like people that have powers, it makes sense, but it's just sometimes it's regular ass people taking hits that like you don't just get up from right away and go back to fighting. And it unfortunately it's done a lot. So it's just at this point it's just my personal criticism.
Well, he is the son of a god.
Yeah, he's like half celestial or whatever, right?
With a little G.
Yeah, but like that all went away, right? Like he lost that power.
Listen, I don't know. Look, did you see the Christmas? Did you see the Christmas special? I'm pretty sure Santa gave him that back, or Kevin Bacon, one of them, maybe both.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dual gift. What's Tiger Claw saying?
This is the first movie to drop the F-bomb, and it's a good use of it too.
It is the first Marvel movie, yes, to use it.
Honestly, the way Nebula was, dude, I was getting ready to throw an F-bomb at her, like how she couldn't figure out that stupid door.
I don't know. I feel like it could have been used better.
100%. Like, look, much like it. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
No, go ahead. I was just going to stutter.
No, I was gonna say, like, it felt 100% like James Gunn just wanted to be the one to do it. You know,
it
like,
felt a
it's not
little
like,
bit like he tried to sneak it in there.
how can he sneak it? Like, nobody's gonna watch the movie and be
it's
like,
just so like out of nowhere and so quick. That, I mean, like, not like, oh, the censors are gonna miss it. It's just been so like a throwaway line almost.
Yeah, like it would made much more sense for the first F-bomb in the MCU to be like during like Captain America Winter Soldier. You know what I'm saying? Like and like when Tony Stark is finding out that, you know, this dude killed his parents, right? Or something like that makes more sense than friggin' a car door. And don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with Nebula not being able to figure out how to get in the door. I feel like if you grew up in space, that would seem like a weird design. Like, look, there might be people today that wouldn't understand how to open that door, like that live on Earth. You know what I mean? Where they're just like,
look, if because Counter Earth was like in the 80s, right? Which is where Star-Lord was last in Earth. If that would have been like a modern car, where like with the number pad, like he would like, I don't know what's the code, you know, and then he wasn't even speaking the same language as the people. Like, so how do you tell him the code?
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't
Also,
say
too,
which movie deserved to have the F-bomb first, but I will say there were better places in this movie to use it.
Where would you have used it, Jay?
Offhand, I can't think of a spot, but I remember in the movie when it happened, I was like, man, there were like at least 2 other places that would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
I think it should have been Captain America. Like, there's so many movies where he's talking about language. Like, it would have been just like he would use the F-bomb, and like Tony Stark and Thor would look at him like, "Oh,
Captain America? No, Captain America can't say that. Like, Captain America doesn't talk like that.
Yeah,
that's what would make it more impactful.
But not regular Captain America.
Oh yeah, Ultimate Captain America. Like, that's where the first one should have come. It should have been friggin' Chris Evans as Ultimate Captain America coming in and cussing in Secret Wars. Like that, like everybody be like, whoa. everybody would be like, this is not your grandpa's Captain America. And that friggin' Ultimate Captain America outfit, ooh, that would have been awesome.
I like to believe that Free Guy is a MCU movie, and Chris Evans does curse in that movie, even though I guess they cut out, like, you don't actually hear the word.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
You don't hear the word. Never mind.
Yeah, man. But I will say that I know for myself, I'm just like going back to Adam Warlock. It's like, if that tease wasn't put in at the end of that Guardians movie, I'm not sure that this will be Adam Warlock in this movie. And that actually would be a better choice. Like I kind of feel like
they're trying to close that thread that they left open.
Like, wait, you're saying you're saying it would have been a better choice.
They teased it in one movie. So if this is the last Guardians movie, they have to close that loop or whatever that they teased.
Right. And I'm not saying don't close, like, don't pay that off. What I'm saying is the way that they use Adam Warlock in this movie doesn't feel like something specific to the character Adam Warlock. It feels like it could have been any random, like, celestial Marvel, like, space character, you know?
What did you think about his voice?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But you know what? It might not have just been like, the guy's voice is not bad. It might have just been the fact that he's like, maybe I probably didn't like it because I didn't like the things he was saying. You know, like, because I don't think it's a terrible voice, mind you. I'm just like, nah.
You don't like the British
I was hoping the voice would be so good that I'd be like, oh wow, but nah, it wasn't good enough. What'd you say, Oz?
You don't like the British accent?
I mean, I don't mind Adam Warlock having an English accent. I just think that it's just, like, not like it's interesting because I went into this really preparing, like, okay, like, this isn't going to be Infinity Gauntlet Adam Warlock. This is going to be a younger version, like him more fresh out of the cocoon Adam Warlock, and which is a much more brash and angry Adam Warlock. And so I'm like, that's cool. Like, I actually would prefer that, considering that, you know, Infinity Gauntlet is already done, right? Like, like, I don't want you to pretend like the Adam Warlock that we're seeing today is the one that came through that, you know? So I'm down for.
Okay, here's because clearly you know this character.
Oh yeah.
Here's something that confused me a little bit when they're having the conversation about how he's not fully cooked or whatever. High Evolutionary says he was supposed to be the warlock. And I'm sitting there going like, what the fuck does that mean? He was supposed to be the warlock. Like, you're calling him Adam Warlock. What, like, was he supposed to cast magic? Was he supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme? Like, what does that statement mean to me? And they never explain what that means.
No, absolutely. And I don't understand it either. Like, like, and don't get me wrong, like, High Evolutionary is the one that gives Adam Warlock the name Warlock. Like, that is something that actually does happen in the comics. But that's something that is like it like their whole history is a whole completely different thing that happens. Like, basically in MCU, I guess High Evolutionary made the sovereign people, like the gold folks, and they tried to make a better version of themselves that was going to be Adam, but High Evolutionary, for whatever reason, is like, hey, I need this specific guy right now, so,
not, like, I get that part, but yeah, just call him Adam. Like, just the fact that he says he was supposed to be the warlock. I'm like,
yeah,
what does that mean? Like,
yeah,
warlock. What is that? What? I understand he has powers that his people don't. Is that it? It just didn't make sense.
I don't know. Like, in the comics, I believe a High Evolutionary, if I remember right, he gives him the name Warlock, but I think it might actually even be like derogatory, because Adam Warlock is like, he saves Counter Earth in the comic, and so he's acting like a foil eventually to High Evolutionary. So yeah, but yeah.
Well, fortunately, you're not going to see him again.
High Evolutionary or Adam Warlock?
Both. Well, High Evolutionary for obvious reasons. But yeah, Adam Warlock either. Because, when they do that after credit scene, and they used to say the Guardians of the Galaxy will return. This time, it just said the legendary Star-Lord will return.
Yeah.
So he's the only, Chris Pratt's the only one coming back.
I mean, I don't know if that's true.
I think it is.
Like, I honestly feel like the main cast, obviously this is their last movie, with the what might be the exception of Chris Pratt, but all of the other folks that we see, like, I feel like all those people are open game to show up in something else. Like, and not to say another Guardians movie, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they might show up in something else. And so it would not surprise me if we see Adam Warlock again.
Nope. So. Done. Everybody but Star-Lord is done.
Well, we'll see.
That's why he's on Earth. He's going to be in Secret Wars.
You don't need to be on Earth to be in Secret Wars.
In the MCU, you do, because Nick Fury sure as hell does go back to Earth for Secret Wars.
Oh, you're talking about Secret Invasion?
Whatever. It's all it's hard for me to know. It's all a secret, right? How am I supposed to know these things? All secretive and stuff.
Oh, dude.
What are they calling that station? It's not Sword. Is it?
Oh,
Satan?
yeah.
It's something dumb.
No. I mean, it's supposed to be the peak, right? I don't know if that's what they call it in the MCU.
I mean, not the space station specifically. That probably has its own. whatever name, but like the agency, it's supposed to be Sword, and I think they call it something else.
No, I mean it was Sword. It just
But in
the
the movie,
acronym.
or the show, it's not going to be Sword anymore.
No, the show was never Sword. The show. Oh, you think in the show the organization?
Yeah. In the show, in the comics, it's Sword, but they renamed it for the show.
I think they just changed what the acronym means. I don't think they did not call it Sword though, right?
No, I think it's not Sword.
Didn't they call it Saber?
That's more right.
But it was Sword in whatchamacallit, right? In WandaVision?
I don't remember that. That whole show is a blank except for Mew Mew.
Yeah, so like I feel like but so maybe it's gonna be something else. I don't know. Let's see. I'm looking. It does look like there like Sword is in the MCU.
Well, the space station is
call it
called the Saber Space Station.
The Saber?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that's a different organization. Yeah, the Sword in it was Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division. And so
Still not a fan of that.
you're not a fan of the change?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the whole thing was they wanted a reason for them to have vision. And if they're like sentient world, then it's like, there's no good reason for them to have vision.
Yeah.
I can't find anything that tells me what Saber stands for.
Maybe
every
they don't
time I
want
look
us
it
to
up,
know
I
yet.
keep getting Sword.
Yeah.
So they might not even have actually said it out loud, I guess, in the MCU.
Maybe not yet.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
So any more Guardians stuff?
Say again?
Any more Guardians stuff we need to say?
Yeah, probably not.
We'll get a little bit more next week when Mo's on and we force him to watch it.
Oh, we're not doing spoilers, right?
We're trying. I'm pretty sure I said stuff that was spoilery, but I tried.
Yeah, like I Oz definitely spoiled some stuff. I don't know. Are you trying to spoil something big?
Not big, but I was gonna ask what you thought about the ending scene before the last scene before the credits start.
Oh, got you. Yeah. We can talk about it. Wait, not the mid-credit scene, but
no, like the last one with Rocket, Yondu's kid.
It's not Yondu's
Not
kid.
Yondu's kid.
That's what he's gonna be to me. Like
Kid Yondu.
I think he's older than Yondu.
Yeah, Yondu lad.
But yeah, the scene with that group.
Yeah.
What do you think about that group?
It's mad ragtag. It's ragtag as hell. But I mean, I guess it is what it is, right?
Would you watch their movie if they came out with one?
Oh,
for the show.
I mean, let me put it like this: that group of people is not made for movies. That group of people is made to cameo, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, look, like that's what it boiled down to for me, where I'm like, okay, like that feels, and which is kind of wild because it's not like it's a terrible group. Um, like honestly, the only person in there that feels a little strange is uh is Kid Yondu. Like Yondu lad.
And is that girl from the comics or is she new?
No, she's from the comics. Like I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Phyla Vell, who who was um I mean did a stint, if I'm not mistaken, both as Captain Marvel and as Quasar.
Nice.
So, like it could totally, how the MCU likes to do, where they'll introduce a kid and then age them up. So it's like it would not be, I would not be surprised if we see an adult or more adult version of that character somewhere down the line.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know that for fact, but Phyla is not a common name, so yeah.
Okay. So if
Yeah.
that's it, I guess we can rate.
Yeah, let's do it. Oz, what would you rate Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
I'm gonna go with. I guess I'm gonna go with 4 because it is a fun movie to watch. It's just a little long, and especially if you've enjoyed the first two, I think you'll enjoy it. Even though I think it's the worst of the three, it closes out a story that you've already invested some time in, so it's a worth a watch, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
4.
All right. Jay, how about you, buddy? What would you rate Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
I would give it a 4. I actually did enjoy it a lot. It had some problems, but overall, I think it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did enjoy this better than the second one.
Okay. There you go. There you go. I'd give it, I think, a 2.5 is what I have to do. Because, I mean, I'm just not a fan of these movies to begin with. uh, it saddens me that the most Guardians of the Galaxy, like the closest we've gotten to it, was that first movie, which blows my mind. I would not have thought that that would be the case. Like I would have thought 3 movies in, we're gonna get closer to like what the Guardians of the Galaxy is actually like, at least a little bit. But I mean, we got the uniforms, so I guess I'll take that. you know, but it's interesting just for myself. Like, if you watch Fantastic Four, like I was not a fan of the first one, and I was like, even like the second one I despised even more. Um, this third one I actually like more than the second one as well. But I liked the first one more because it wasn't as zany as these other 2 movies have. Like these movies get progressively more kind of like the aspect of it I dislike the most gets amplified as these movies go further. And so, but I feel like the story I enjoyed more, I think, in 3 than I did 2. Um, and but even like it's a low bar, so it doesn't really even matter which one of these I like more than the other. Because I just think about one, and I was like, but we sure did do a dance off with Ronan, the accuser, in the first movie, didn't we? So I'm just like, oh, it's like Jesus, man. I don't understand why y'all like these movies so much, but hey, I'm on my own. So yeah, 2.5. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Um, the fellas, you know, we don't have to necessarily take all the time, but if there's anything else y'all want to chat about before we go, like, uh, one thing that I did want to ask about specifically to you, Oz, is did you get a chance to check out the new Green Lantern book?
Was that out already?
Yeah, it just came out like yesterday.
No. Look, I've been at work all day and I came straight here.
Yeah, no, like I'm not like
it's on my
I'm
pull
not.
list, and I got tomorrow off, so I'll probably swing by the shop
Yeah,
and grab it.
I would be interested to hear your thoughts on this because I mean I know they're doing like the whole was it Dawn of DC kind of thing where they're like relaunching all of their books. Yeah, I mean, or to a degree. I mean, I guess technically they're not relaunching like
I
Superman and Batman, but
I don't know if I mentioned it at the time, but
mhm.
the when when they uh, when they did the Dawn of the DC stuff, I think was the end of what was the last event, the last crisis?
Dark Crisis.
Yeah, it was Dark Crisis. I don't know if I
Mhm,
mentioned it, but like
mhm,
issue 6, the
mhm,
cover that I had was
mhm.
basically just Nightwing, like floating up there like a god.
Right.
I'm a Nightwing fan, but I was looking at that like,
Hmm.
nah, nah,
Yeah. No, I agree.
nah. And I don't know if it was that book or the Nightwing book, but they were trying to make him the leader of the Justice League too. And I'm
Hmm.
like, nah.
Yeah,
So I
but
hopefully look, I'm hoping that it doesn't affect the Lanterns. It sounds like it might, and I'm just glad Morrison is off that book. Um, so
yeah,
we'll see, we'll see what that goes. But one of the
uh,
things I've liked about Lantern books is that generally crises don't affect them too much.
right.
I've read a lot of Lantern books that happen while there's a crisis, and they just keep going. They
Hmm.
acknowledge that something happened, but they just keep going. So
Right.
we'll see. Um, I
I,
I guess I'll find
I,
out tomorrow.
right. I've seen that. Or I should say I've seen. What I should say is, from what I've seen, it seems like moving forward for whatever reason, like there's not a Justice League right now, and so like just like how you felt, I was like, it did seem like they were trying to like say, oh, like Nightwing should be like the new like main guy for like the Justice League, like but it seems like what they've come to is actually like the new premier superhero team in the DC universe, at least for now, is actually the Titans. And so like some of the promo I've seen is like a Titans book that is pretty much like the classic Titans team, and that's like the prime like superhero team in the DC universe right now,
Okay.
which
Quick
could be interesting.
quick question about that.
Hmm.
That promo did you saw about Titans? Cyborg in it?
Hmm. Yeah,
No. No,
no Cyborg.
they spent. I didn't see the promo, but I don't
Oh,
want him in a Titans team because DC has put so much effort to try to make him uh,
a
a
Justice League
Justice
member,
League guy. That
right?
you
No,
can't you
man.
can't have both. He's either Titan
Well,
or a Justice Leaguer, and he was even in that freaking Ruby book, or not the book,
right.
the movie.
We are right.
He was in the movie as a Justice Leaguer.
Yeah,
No, you can't now make him a Titan because you need the token. No, no, he's one or the other. Pick
I
one
mean,
or the other.
I think we
As
all
much
know
as I
that
love,
Cyborg.
as much as I love Jeff Johns, I blame him because he's the
Yeah,
one that first did that, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, because he's a Cyborg fan.
I mean, we
But I
can't.
don't know, man. Like Cyborg never fit in the Justice League.
No, he didn't, and that's why it always made me mad that they try to shove him in there. But
Right.
if you're gonna shove him in there, you can't now have him on the Titans because
Mhm.
you don't have a Justice League. No.
Yeah, man. Like I wish I had thought about it pulling up the Titans promo pic, but it's literally like Nightwing and Starfire and Raven and Beast Boy, friggin' um, Cyborg, and who am I forgetting? Is there another? Who's another classic person on the Titans, Jay?
Oh, Wonder Girl.
Yeah, that's who I'm forgetting, and Wonder Girl. That's it.
Yeah, and
I think that's the whole team.
I have no problem with that team if you hadn't spent the last 10 years trying to make Cyborg a Justice Leaguer.
Yeah, yeah.
I would
And,
love to have him on that Titans team, but you've already tried to promote him. Now you're going to demote him like that? No.
Well, technically, it's not a demotion because
It is.
they're the premier team. They're the Justice League of this current DC universe, supposedly. Like that's part of like how they're promoting it, like So they didn't say like, okay, we're the Justice League now. They're like, we're still the Titans, but we're the top dogs, I guess. So like other superheroes are going to aspire to become Titans now instead of be part of the Justice League.
No, just because there's no Justice League team does not mean the Justice League is not supposed to be the premier. Like that's what you go for. Guy Gardner was like a Midwest or like Justice League International. I guarantee you, if he would have been main Justice League, he would not want to be back in International.
Oh, I forgot about Wally too, huh? Which I like. He looks like Flash.
And look, that's a great Titans team. I'm not the one that's been pushing for Cyborg to be a main Justice Leaguer.
No, I agree.
If I could speak on this for just a little bit. Titans is a placeholder team. Like, you can go up and down from Titans like as much as you want. Like, now, it happened before.
I'll say this. Looking at this team, 2 of those characters have been in the main Justice League. Because I think Wally was the Flash for Justice League for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna go and be the B team, but you were on the A squad, then you lead the B team because you've got the experience with the heavy hitters. I understand Wally can't be that if Barry's still around, because now Barry becomes main Flash. Cyborg, if he's gonna go down to the JV leagues, he should be leading it because he's the one that has experience.
The Justice League.
What's that?
Say that again, Jay?
Donna Troy was in the Justice League at one point.
Not really.
Well, wait. First of all, Nightwing was in the Justice League as Batman. So, like, nobody. If you're Batman in the Justice League,
technically, Batman has never been officially in the Justice League, and Nightwing made a point of. No, Grayson made that a point. Like, look, Batman is not a member of the Justice League. He's just here to look to.
This was a consultant, outside consultant.
No, look,
now you're just arguing semantics.
Watchers. Like,
now you're just arguing semantics.
Right.
He's got a keypad with like, okay, which one of these guys is gonna go crazy so I can hit this button and neutralize them.
Dick Grayson literally stood next to Superman in the cowl. You know what I mean? So it's like it makes sense for him to be the guy that's like leading, especially if it's a group called the Titans anyway. It's like, dude, he's like on every level, like he's the guy. Like here's the thing, I don't even have a problem with the idea that at a particular point, especially like during Dark Crisis when all like the super like senior people are gone, the idea of people looking to Dick Grayson like, hey, you're the guy that can help us during this time. Like we're looking to you for leadership. That doesn't bother me at all. It's just more so the idea of like, okay, like it doesn't feel like he would be like, okay, I'm the leader of the Justice League now. Like it feels more. It feels more right that he would be like, I'm gonna take the Titans to the next level. Like that makes more sense.
I'm agreeing with you.
Mm-hmm.
Where Batman is gone, Nightwing steps up.
Yeah,
I agree. Superman is gone, Jonathan steps up. Like I get that. No, you're right. But you get my point. If the main guys are gone, but at this point they're back. You have a Batman, you have a Superman.
But obviously something happened where they're not working together. I don't know why. Or they might be someplace else. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with DC Comics right now. So I'm just like, I will read the Green Lantern because I would like to read a good Green Lantern book again.
It sounds like you have to read whatever Justice League is doing.
Oh, I doubt that.
But look, it's not on my pull list. I know the last event was like the Lazarus Planet thing.
Yeah, dude. Listen, it says Green Lantern #1, Dawn of DC. Like I should be able to pick that book up and enjoy it on its own. And if there's information I have to know, hopefully they'll tell it to me in there. But we'll see.
Is that the only #1 Dawn of DC book?
No, there's a few of them.
Okay,
but they're not. I think
I'm shopping tomorrow then.
But it's one of those things where Dawn of DC is branding that's on like a number of books, but not all of them are #1s. Like say for instance, like they have the Dawn of DC branding on like Action Comics number like 1053 or something like that, where it's like, okay, this is like the beginning of like the new status quo for the DCU. And I think they're doing that same thing for like Detective and also Superman and Batman, which they may not renumbered as well. So so some books get the renumbering, but other books are just like continuing and they have the branding, so like this is where you can start if you want.
Okay, well we'll see how that goes because their Future State attempt was ass.
It's unfortunate. Some books are better than others, but you're right. Like Future State, it didn't hold up, unfortunately.
And I actually had the actual Future State book in my pull list, and I'm angry about it. I'm glad.
Yeah. Anything else y'all want to talk about before we get out of here? All right. Well, look. Cue the music. We have final thoughts music, right?
If Jay can't, then I can comment.
Oh. All right. Jay, why don't you give us some final thoughts, man?
Check out Unicorn, Warriors Eternal, the new Jindy Tartakovsky cartoon. Apparently it's the end of an era because Cartoon Network is pretty much dead now, but for their name.
Wait, what? What happened to Cartoon Network?
The guy in charge said animation isn't worth it, so they're only doing IP stuff, like reboots and IP, and they're being done by different studios.
Damn. That sucks. Wow. Oz, final thoughts.
Some unboxing videos coming. I just sent one to the production staff, so we'll see when they get that up. And literally just shot 2 more, so there's more coming.
Nice. All right. Well, for the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you. We'll be back next week. So in the meantime, if there's something you want to hear, something you want to something that you want us to take a look at and talk to you all about, we would love to hear your feedback and your suggestions. But yeah, rock with us. Let us know what it is that you want to see next. So we are the Fantastic Forum. Good night.